Have you ever had the feeling that you're playing a role in your own life? That there's a mask you wear, one you've carefully shaped to fit in, to be liked, to make sure everything stays calm? And there's this quiet exhaustion that follows you around, a feeling that the person everyone meets isn't the real you. You say the right things, you smile at the right times, you play your part. But in those quiet moments when the performance is over, there's a hollow space inside, a sense that you're a stranger to yourself. This feeling, this deep ache of being an actor in your own story, isn't a sign that you're broken. It's a whisper from a deeper part of you. We're told to be ourselves, but then we're shown a million images of who we should be, how we should act, what we should want. We curate our lives for others to see, and in the process we can lose touch with the very person we're trying to express. But what if that feeling of emptiness wasn't a problem to be fixed, but a call to come home? What if there was a way to break free, not by building a better mask, but by discovering with courage and compassion what lies underneath it all? Carl Jung, one of the great physicians of the soul, saw this as the most important journey a person could take. He gave us a kind of map, a way to understand how we can shed the suffocating layers of this fake life and begin the profound journey back to our true self. This isn't about a quick fix. It's a path of looking inward, of exploring, and ultimately of finding freedom. And today we're going to walk that path together to uncover the secret to breaking free. To understand the journey, we first have to see the cage. It's often a beautiful cage decorated with success and approval, but a cage nonetheless. Jung gave it a name, the persona. The word comes from the Latin for the masks actors wore in ancient theater. The mask told the audience what role they were playing, and Jung chose this word so precisely. The persona is our social mask. It's the version of ourselves we present to the world. It's designed, as he said, to make a certain impression on others, but also to conceal the true nature of who we are. Now, it's so important to understand that the persona isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's necessary. It's a tool that helps us navigate a complex world. We learn from our first moments how to adapt. We learned which behaviors got a smile from our parents and which ones brought disapproval. We learned how to fit in on the playground, which parts of ourselves to show and which to hide just to belong. This process only gets more refined as we get older. When you go for a job interview, you wear your professional persona. On a first date, maybe you wear your charming persona. Each one is a functional mask that helps us interact smoothly. They're essential for society to work. But think about the masks we wear. The persona of the good son or good daughter, always dutiful, maybe choosing a career to make their parents proud, while their own passions are quietly set aside. Or the persona of the corporate professional, relentlessly efficient, hiding any vulnerability, admired for her success but deeply exhausted and longing for a connection that isn't about networking. Or even the spiritual seeker, who projects an image of perfect calm but behind the mask might be terrified of their own messy, human, un-Zen-like feelings. The problem, the place where the pain begins, is when we forget we're wearing the mask. This is what Jung called identification. The mask fuses to our skin. The role we're playing is no longer a role. We believe it is us. And when that happens, life becomes a performance. You become, as Jung warned, what you are not in reality, but what you and others think you are. This is the very heart of a fake life, and it brings a quiet suffering. There's that feeling of emptiness. You can get everything the mask was designed to get, the job, the status, the respect, but you feel hollow. It's like winning a game you never really chose to play. There's a deep and constant exhaustion. It takes so much energy to hold up a facade all day, every day. It's a soul tiredness that sleep can't touch. There's also that quiet, gnawing anxiety, the fear of being found out. What if they see behind the mask? This fear keeps us seeking validation because our self-worth is tied to the performance. You might even feel a strange envy for people who seem unapologetically themselves, who live their truth without fear. This state is like living in a gilded cage. It's safe, it's predictable. It's what everyone tells you a happy life should look like. But it is a cage. It keeps you from your own wild, authentic soul. And the deepest truth is this: you cannot find your true self as long as you are convinced you are the mask. That feeling of being fake, the emptiness, the anxiety, that's not the problem. That's the alarm bell. It's a message from a deeper part of you, a knocking from within, telling you that there is so much more to you than this role you are playing. If the persona is the polished, well-lit stage of our lives, then that feeling of being fake is the sound of something moving in the darkness beneath the stage. This is the agitation. This is the moment we're invited to turn our attention away from the mask and toward the vast, mysterious world that Jung called the unconscious. For Jung, the I we think we are is just the tip of the iceberg. And when we live only as our persona, we're choosing to live on a tiny corner of that island, pretending the great ocean all around it doesn't exist. But the ocean is powerful, and it sends us messages in our moods, our dreams, our anxieties. These are the ways the unconscious makes itself known, and the first figure we meet when we dare to look into this inner ocean is the shadow. Jung described the shadow as the thing a person has no wish to be. It's where we've stored all the parts of ourselves we've disowned because they didn't fit with our persona. Our anger, our selfishness, our fear, our vulnerability. Any trait that our family or our culture told us was bad or weak gets pushed down into this inner darkness. As Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. The brighter the mask of the persona, the darker the shadow it casts behind it. So how does this hidden part of us show up? Most often through projection. Because we can't stand to see these qualities in ourselves, our mind plays a clever trick. It makes us see them in other people. Have you ever had an instant, intensely negative reaction to someone you just met? The thing in them that repels you, their arrogance, their laziness, their neediness, is so often a disowned piece of your own shadow. You're not just reacting to them, you're reacting to a lost part of yourself. As Jung said, your world becomes populated by the ghosts of your own unknown face. The shadow also erupts when we're tired or stressed. It's that sudden outburst of rage from the calm person. It's the act of self-sabotage right when things are going well. It's the passive-aggressive comment from the people-pleaser. In these moments, the shadow is trying to get our attention. This conflict between the persona and the shadow is where the agitation comes from. The exhaustion you feel is the energy it takes to keep the shadow locked away. The anxiety is the fear that it might break free. The emptiness is the feeling that a huge part of you is missing, because it is. But here is where the hope comes in. This is one of the most beautiful parts of Jung's work. The shadow isn't evil. It's just what we've rejected. And sometimes, in rejecting the bad, we throw away our power. This is the golden shadow. Maybe as a child you were told that your assertiveness was bossy, so you suppressed it. That power, that ability to set boundaries, now lives in your shadow. Maybe you were told your creativity was impractical, so you buried it to get a sensible job. Your fire, your spontaneity, now lives in your shadow. Your aggression, when brought into the light and integrated, can become healthy drive. Your vulnerability can become the source of true connection. The shadow holds our raw life force, our vitality, our creativity. It is not a monster to be killed, but a wounded part of us that needs to be brought into the light and understood. So that agitation, that feeling of being fake, the anxiety, this is not a malfunction. It is a summons. It is the shadow holding your lost gold, knocking on the door of your conscious mind. It's an invitation to stop living a half-life. It's a call to turn around and face what you've been running from. Because, as Jung said, the first step to meeting your true self is meeting your own shadow. This meeting is the terrifying and ultimately liberating beginning of a true life. If the problem is the gilded cage of the persona, and the agitation is the shadow rattling that cage, then the solution is the courageous choice to step out and begin exploring your own inner world. Jung called this lifelong process individuation. Individuation is the journey of becoming an individual, whole, undivided. It's the sacred process of integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself to become who you truly are. It's not a path to perfection. A perfect person has cut off all their flaws. This is a path to wholeness which holds both the light and the dark. The purpose of life, Jung believed, was the realization of this authentic self. This journey isn't just a theory, it's a practice. It's the work of a lifetime. And it starts with a simple shift. First, we gently begin to see the persona for what it is. We move from being the mask to wearing the mask. This starts with awareness, becoming a compassionate observer of your own life. You can start to ask yourself, in a gentle way, when do I feel like I'm performing the most? What mask am I wearing right now? The helper, the achiever, the peacemaker. What am I afraid would happen if I just let the mask drop, even for a moment? What am I pushing down to keep this image in place? Simply noticing, perhaps writing it down, begins to create a little space between you and the role you're playing. It's like you're taking the throne away from the persona. It no longer rules your life from the shadows. You begin to see it as a tool, one you can choose to use or set down. And as you loosen the grip of the persona, you create space for the shadow to be seen. This is shadow work, and it requires courage. It means being willing to look at the parts of you that you've judged, the envy, the anger, the pettiness. And instead of turning away, you say, "This too is a part of me." The goal isn't to act on every dark impulse, but to acknowledge it, to make it conscious. As Jung famously said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like paying attention to those strong emotional reactions. When you feel that intense judgment of someone else, you can pause and ask, what is it in them that's triggering me so much? Is there a small part of that in me that I've refused to see? It requires great humility, but it's the fastest way to reclaim your own power. It also looks like listening to your dreams. For Jung, dreams are the pure, uncensored voice of the unconscious. They show us what our conscious mind is ignoring. They are a direct line to our hidden self. As you begin this work of no longer being at war with your own darkness, a deeper layer becomes available. Jung called this the anima, the inner feminine in a man, and the animus, the inner masculine in a woman. This isn't about gender, but about energies. For a man, integrating the anima means connecting with his capacity for feeling, intuition, and relatedness. For a woman, integrating the animus means developing her capacity for logic, assertiveness, and structure. When these parts are unconscious, we project them. We look for someone else to complete us. But when we integrate them, we become more whole within ourselves. Our relationships become healthier based on connection, not need. And as you continue this sacred work, seeing the persona, integrating the shadow, balancing these inner energies, a new center begins to emerge. This is the self. The ego is the I we think we are. Before this journey, the ego thinks it's the center of the universe. The process of individuation is the humbling and beautiful discovery that the ego is just one planet. The true center, the sun that holds it all together, is the self. Living a life guided by the self is the ultimate freedom from a fake life. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're whole. You can still wear your professional persona at work, but you know you're wearing it. You're aware of your shadow, but you're not controlled by it. You live with a quiet confidence that comes from deep within, from a place of inner alignment. And this journey doesn't isolate you. It actually connects you more deeply to everyone else. When you're no longer projecting your shadows, you can see people with more compassion. When you are whole within yourself, you can engage with the world from a place of strength and love, not fear. This is a lifelong path, a constant peeling of the onion, as Jung said. There is always another layer. The journey away from a fake life is one of the most meaningful things a person can do. That feeling of being an actor, the emptiness and exhaustion, it's not a curse. It's a sacred call from your soul, asking you to come home. Jung's work is like a map for this inner territory. It teaches us that the goal isn't to get rid of the mask, but to know we're the one wearing it. It teaches us that we must turn and face our shadow, because it holds the very gold we've been looking for. And it teaches us that the purpose of it all is wholeness, a life lived in tune with the deepest truth of who we are. Breaking free isn't about becoming someone new. It's about having the courage to finally become who you've been all along. The world doesn't need another perfect performance. It needs the unique, messy, beautiful, and irreplaceable truth of you. And that is freedom.